Week 9 of college football provides us with three enormous games in the Big Ten. Steve Merrill from Wager Talk and Pro Sports Info joins us each and every week to break down the three biggest games on the national landscape. Steve, how you doing today?
Hey, Mark, doing well.
All right, let's get right to it. We've got Iowa and Wisconsin, the two teams that most figured to be at the top of the Big Ten Western Division. Wisconsin slipping up several times early back in the race with no division losses, beating Purdue last week. A 3.5-point favorite, Steve, at home against the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, the big question, obviously, in this game, Mark, is, how does Iowa respond after the first loss of the season? Historically speaking, at least from a research perspective, over decades now, teams that lose that first game mid-season or later are only about a 40% play in the next game. They normally do have a letdown. Everyone talks about letdowns after big wins. I've always said letdowns happen more after tough losses because it just deflates you. However, Iowa did have a bye week, so after the 24-7 loss to Purdue, they had the week off to regroup. Theoretically, a Big Ten team with one loss should still be in the mix. I doubt Iowa is because they've kind of been an overrated 3 or 4 team all season. Offensively, very subpar. This is a team that averages just 4.6 yards per play against teams that allow 5.1. Wisconsin averages 5.2 against teams that allow 5.3. So Wisconsin's actually the better offensive team, and both are very good defensively. So you can understand why Wisconsin is a 3.5-point home favorite, but my power ratings only favor Wisconsin by 1 in this game, so I do think the line is a bit inflated. As we talk about every week, 3 is the most important number in all sports betting when it comes to football, and especially in a low-scoring game. Every point is more valuable in a low-scoring game, and the over-under on this game, it's taken me back in my hot tub time machine, is 36.5, and the reason I say that is because when I started 25 years ago in the mid-'90s, 37 and 41 were the key totals for the NFL. We didn't even have college football totals when I started in the 90s, maybe on 1 or 2 select TV games. 37 is a very key total, and this is currently sitting 36.5. So this should be a very low-scoring game, obviously. So giving up that line value is not a good move. I make it 1, line is 3.5. I could definitely see this game landing on 3. I'd say there's a 10 to 11% chance Wisconsin wins by exactly 3.
Folks, join us on Patreon. You get Steve's under-the-radar pick of the week that he provides us each and every week here in college football, and also my predictions, 10-6 against the spread last week, 95-58 is 95-64. Let me update that, 95-64 against the spread, as you see there on the banner against the spread. I pick all the top 25 games, and again, you get Steve's under-the-radar selection. Michigan State, a top 10 matchup for the first time since 1964. Both teams undefeated for the first time at this stage of the season since 2010. Michigan on the road, but still a pretty decided favorite at 4.
Yeah, and once again, just like the Wisconsin game, my power ratings favor Michigan by only 1 in this game. So this line is inflated, as you said, at 4. Another battle of 2 good defensive teams, 2 teams that run the ball extremely well. The big difference, I think, in this game could very well be that bye week. Michigan State is coming off a bye with extra prep time, extra preparation, extra rest. They get to stay at home. They have all the makings of what we look for, what we call a live home dog. Good defense, good running team, extra preparation, and we get some line value. I make the line 1. It's currently +4. And Michigan, meanwhile, coming off now, this is their 5th straight game in the month of October, So once again, the rest and preparation, actually it's their 4th game in October. They did have a bye after Nebraska, so they're coming off the Northwestern game. They had the bye the week before that, so I misspoke. But still, not the extra rest like Michigan State. But the big thing's the matchup here. 2 teams that run the ball pretty equal. Everyone talks about how good Michigan's rushing attack is, 253 yards, 5.5 yards per carry. Michigan State, 200 yards, 5.4 yards per rush. Michigan has played a slightly stronger schedule this year. Both teams, 4.8, 4.9 yards per play allowed. Pretty equal across the board. Rested at home with line value. A Michigan State +4 is where the line value is in this one.
And then late night in the Big Ten at the Shoe, we've got James Franklin and all sorts of rumors swirling about him going to USC or LSU, headed to Ohio State to take on the Buckeyes, and with Penn State with a disappointing loss against Illinois in 9 overtimes as a 23 or 24-point favorite. Go to Ohio State, the Buckeyes hitting on all cylinders against lesser opponents in recent weeks, an 18.5-point favorite.
Yeah, we talked about Iowa earlier, how they're coming off their first loss. That's normally a letdown, but they had the bye week. Exact same spot for Penn State. They were coming off their first loss against that Iowa team, but they had the bye week, And they obviously did not regroup because not only did they lose as a 24-point favorite, but as you said, they lost outright. They didn't even score the point spread. 9 overtimes, Mark, and they didn't even score the point spread with only 18 points as a 24-point favorite. So the question becomes, do they just flip a switch and regroup here? Not so fast, my friends. I mean, I think that's a major concern here. As I said earlier, 1 loss in the Big Ten, you could probably make a case you're not done for the season. 2 losses, your season's over. Now they have to regroup. But a huge difference here because they go from being a 3.5 touchdown favorite to being a 2.5 touchdown underdog. However, the line is not high enough based on my power ratings. My line makes it 21. And Ohio State, explosive offense, as we know, their problem has been defense last year and early on this year when they gave up 31, 35, and 20 those first 3 games. They've held each of their last 4 opponents to 17 or less. So they're clicking on all cylinders. Penn State's in a questionable spot. Line value favors Ohio State. I make the line 21. It's currently just 18.5.
Catch Steve on Wager Talk TV right here on YouTube. You can also catch him on, of course, ProSportsInfo.com. NBA, Major League Baseball, the World Series still in play, of course, and the NFL each and every weekend as well with Steve, and he delivers our Under the Radar selection on Patreon, which is coming up next, so join us there. Lock it in on Patreon. You get my top 25 picks, over 60% against the spread on all those games, and then in addition to that, we've got a bit of a competition with 20 media members selecting a 12-pack each and every week, so join us on Patreon.